Good evening. Start with the prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for the direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city to make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for May 9, 2017 City Council meeting. Council Leary.
Here.
Council Mercia.
Here.
Council Milanazzo.
Here.
Vice Chair Rourke.
Here.
Council Samaras.
Here.
Council Belanger.
Here.
Council Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Kennedy. Council Leahy. 7 present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Before we get started, a couple moments of silence. Councilman Milanazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I'd like to offer a moment of silence, darkened chambers, for Charlie Lefebvre, who passed away on Sunday, May 7th, at the age of 86. Charlie, who's also known as Charlie from the Bartlett, was born in Lowell in 1930. He was the son of the late Charles and Bertha Lefebvre, and he attended Lowell schools and was a graduate of Lowell High School, class of 1948. He was a veteran of the Korean War. Charlie proudly served his country in the United States Navy as a gunner's mate aboard the USS Tarawa. Charlie worked for the city of Lowell in the school department for an incredible 50 years. He dedicated 40 of those years to the Bartlett School as a senior custodian and was affectionately known as Charlie from the Bartlett. He leaves behind a number of nephews and nieces, and he will be truly missed. He was a wonderful man. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in Darkened Chamber for John B. Jack Farrell, Jr., longtime resident of the city of Lowell, born in Lowell, son of the late Lieutenant Jack Farrell of the Lowell Police Department and the late Virginia Neary Farrell. Jack was a communicant of St. Patrick's Church, attended St. Patrick's Grammar School, and was a graduate of Lowell High School. After high school, Jack served his country during the Vietnam War, where he received an honorable discharge. As a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps in 1970, after receiving the National Defense Service Medal, Jack worked as a Massachusetts correction officer at MCI Concord and is vice president of the Massachusetts Correction Officers Federal Union for over 30 years before retiring in 2004. Jack also worked both as a softball umpire with the ASA and a basketball referee with the International Association of Basketball Officials, Board 95 since 1994. After retiring from corrections, Jack worked as a reserve police officer with both the Tewksbury Police Department and the Billerica Police Department. Jack is survived by his wife of 25 years, Karen Witz Farrell, and their two daughters, Megan Farrell and Molly Farrell. We offer our condolences to his family, relatives, and many friends. Jack will be truly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. May they rest in peace. So before tonight's city council meeting, over in the mayor's reception room, we held what the Veterans Commission has started, the Veteran of the Month citation that had begun this year. And the Lowell Veterans Commission in the city councils would like to recognize on a monthly basis in the commission and then quarterly here at the council meetings. We just had a reception to honor the first 4 recipients of the Walter Bayless Veteran of the Month. I'd like to congratulate the following for their service and thank them. For January, Francis Bonnie Hovey. For the month of February, brothers Robert and Gerald McMahon. For the month of March, the U.S. veterans serving the Lowell Police Department. And for the month of April, the veterans serving the Lowell Fire Department. Once again, the city would like to thank you for your service to our country. The Veterans Commission for your time and effort in recognizing the first 4 recipients of the Veteran of the Month. And last but not least, take a special moment to thank the person that this award is named for, the family of Walter Bayless. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you and your families for your service to our country. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Just real quickly, I've been here for 20 years, and I have to say this is one of the more memorable ceremonies that we have. I think it's one of the first. We certainly had the first Veterans Commission, but recognizing our veterans on a regular basis, certainly in the mayor's reception room, but right here in front of television, so everybody in the city can see how proud we are of them and their families for all that they did, is truly remarkable. So under the leadership of the Veterans Commissioner, John McDonald and Norm Jakir and so many others, we thank you. We look forward to doing this on a regular basis to show how much we appreciate and we thank you and we recognize you in the small way that we can. So thank you very much again, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. And also quickly before we start, you may notice that Mayor Kennedy is not up here tonight. He fell ill earlier during the presentation, but he is resting comfortably. I wish him the best of health, and I'm sure we'll see him back here next week. So with that being said, second part of the agenda for the city clerk, the minutes of the Joint Neighborhoods Flood Issues Subcommittee on May 1st, the Finance Subcommittee on May 2nd, the Zoning Subcommittee on May 2nd as well, and the City Council meeting May 2nd for acceptance. To be ready to place on file with a motion by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor, all those opposed, so passes. Next part of the agenda, communications from the city manager. We'll start with A, JFK Plaza improvements. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Through you, Mr. Vice Chair, to the manager, I want to thank you, Mr. Manager, for the timely response. I only made this motion a week ago, so thank you very much. The Folk Festival organizers will be very pleased to hear this good news that in July we'll be ready to host the festival on a brand-new renovated plaza. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Hey, no. We just take a quick minute to. Part 2 of the agenda, part 2 of the responses, the dedication of a park bench in memory of Cole Kinney.
Mr. Vice Chair, can we go back to the minutes because there is a concern. I don't know if the chair of the zoning subcommittee wants to mention, but there was a request that we send.
It is on the agenda for later on.
Yeah, it is on the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Vice.
Okay. So back to motion response B, the dedication of a park bench in memory of Cole Kinney. No comments, moving on. The status of the property at 51 Wedge Street. No comments, moving on. The status of the repairs at 138 and 200 Cross Street. Moving on. The public records request, inspections and hazardous abatement of Lowell High School. No comments? Okay. Response F, Newberry and Fleming Street stop signs.
Just real quick. First, thank you to the manager and to the traffic department, Nick. Excellent accommodations. I think moving that makes a lot of sense. As somebody, I'm sure, Mr. Manager, as you live there, it's going to improve the safety of that street, tenfold, minimum. That's the way I look at it. But thank you very much for the quick response.
Thank you, Councilor. Anything else? No? And last, the summer special events. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I want to thank CASE, the Office of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, for putting together this 2-page docket of the multiple festivals we will be hosting throughout the city from May to October. There'll be dozens of festivals that will be attended by tens of thousands that will make the city of Lowell a destination for many of these, and that's why we're dubbed Festival City USA. So I look forward to attending many of these, and I thank the manager for his support in upping the finances for CASE and FY18. Thank you very much, Mr. Manager. Special events are very important. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments? No? Moving on, 3.11, informational. The fiscal year 18 capital plan presentation. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Vice Chair. And what we'd like to do is just give a brief presentation as to what our proposed fiscal year 2018 capital plan is going to be. We're asking that this be put on for the loan order for a public hearing on May 30th, because that's when we're going to present the City Council with the operating budget. So therefore, we'll have both the capital plan and the operating budget moving along in tandem. So what we did is we actually looked at the motions that the councilors have presented in the past year to determine the priorities of the council and the residents of Lowell, what needs to be done as part of our capital plan. We also talked, as usual, with the employees and came up with what they felt was necessary. As you can see, the total of the fiscal year 18 capital plan is $15,414,518. And you can see that the pie chart sets out how this money is going to be distributed. What I'd like to do is just give a brief outline of the projects that we envision including in this capital plan. First of all, lighting has been an issue for every city councilor. We want to make sure that the city is well lit. Well, our energy manager, Catherine Moses, has been working on this project, and I think it's a wonderful project. We're going to be investing $3.2 million in lighting across the city. We're going to be replacing 6,650 lamps with LED lighting, which is brighter and more energy efficient. Now, we're going to be laying out $3.2 million, but this is going to really result in savings. First of all, we're going to, between a National Grid rebate and a grant to do this program, we're going to be awarded $1.2 million. So that's going to really bring down the loan order to $2 million. And that $2 million, with the savings we anticipate of 65% reduction in energy costs, and a $475,000 total with electricity and labor, this money is going to be paid back in 5 years. So and also it's going to make the city much brighter. Downtown, uptown, midtown, all over the city, we're going to be replacing these bulbs, and it's going to make for a much brighter city. Second, our DPW thinks that the priority repairs in the school department are roofs at the Butler, the Bailey, and the Shaughnessy School. And we're setting aside this money to repair the roofs at those 3 schools. Again, curb appeal is a big proposal for us. We're going to be spending $3.2 million in paving over this next fiscal year. On your desks is a proposed street paving list that we've handed out before this meeting, so you can see what streets are scheduled to be paved under this program. We need improvements to our bathrooms here at City Hall. They're in deplorable condition, and they need to be made ADA accessible, so we're going to be improving our bathrooms. The HVA system in the schools, there's a chemical, is it a chemical or an additive, whatever you want to call it, I don't, it's glycol, and we're going to be spending $75,000 because it prolongs the life of the HVA systems and makes it run better. And finally, traffic signalization of $150,000. We're going to do that Andover Street crosswalk light, and we're going to put money towards the design of the Lord overpass. Public safety initiatives is that these are, most of the money that's going to the fire department is through grants. Mary Ann Bellotta has been very successful in securing grants for the fire department, and we're going to be making matches for that. But you can see is that turnout gear has been a big issue for the fire department. We're going to get new turnout gear for the firefighters. We're going to, that's 213 units of turnout gear. And I think another big thing is, believe it or not, we need to wash this turnout gear. After a firefighter comes back from a fire, there's residue on that turnout gear that if it isn't cleaned properly, that can result in health issues, including cancer. So what we're doing is we're buying a large, I'll just call it a washing machine, that's suitable for turnout gear so that we protect our firefighters' lives down the road in their good health. In the police department, we're updating the Larimore system. That's the computer system that they use. Not only is it going to upgrade their system, but it's going to allow for mobile integration of what's on that. Also, we're going to have swipe card access for all the key entries to the police department, so it's much more secure. Community development. As part of negotiating the lease with the Spinners, which hasn't been executed yet, we're hopeful on having it executed, but we're committing $1.55 million to make improvements. That's new lighting, new field, and a right field fan area. As part of our obligation in the Grand Manor, we have to do some remediation as our final steps, and we're setting aside $939,000 to do that. Alumni Field and Colley Stadium, long-needed improvements. We're going to be repairing the concrete along the stands inside Colley Stadium. And then at Alumni Field, we've already got money in the past capital plan to do the infield, which is going to start soon. But we're also going to fix the dugouts, both home and visitor, the backstop, and the outfield fence. And we're going to do bathroom renovations there. The South Common, we're going to be putting lights in the South Common field. That's a big issue, and this money is set aside to light the field at the South Common. Again, we're doing a lot of bathroom work this year, but we're going to be upgrading the bathrooms at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, which is long overdue. And we cut back on department vehicles. We're not buying cars for everybody anymore, but what we're doing is buying equipment that's necessary for these departments. So we're getting a sander and a dump truck for the DPW, and in the Parks Department, we're getting pickup trucks for those vehicles. So that's that's in a nutshell what our capital plan is. I think it addresses the priorities that the City Council has articulated over the past year, and it incorporates needed improvements that our Public Works, the School Department, Police and Fire, and other agencies in the city feel is necessary. Like I say, we're asking that it be put over to May 30th, is it? May 30th, so it will move parallel to the operating budget, which just makes more sense. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So, Mr. Manager, it's certainly an ambitious plan, and we need to continue to invest in the infrastructure and address these needs. I just have a couple of questions. The $1.4 million for school building repairs, I do recall looking at the capital plan that you submitted, the 5-year plan. Does that include repairs for the high school roof, and there were some other middle school roofs that need to be repaired? Is that part of this capital plan, or is it's gone?
Through you, Vice Mayor. The $1.35 million in FY18 will just be for those middle school, the Bailey, the Butler, and the Shaughnessy. At this point, while we're still patching the high school roof, the goal will be to eventually, the cost will be a couple $1 million to full replacement of the roof. So we're looking to do that as part of whatever the ultimate high school decision
Well,
will be.
it keeps leaking, and it keeps leaking a lot. So I don't know what, I mean, granted, we're in the midst of discussing a new high school, but it's, I think we all get regular updates on the extent and the increasing problems at the school, so.
We're actually having a meeting this Thursday with the superintendent of schools, the business manager, and their facilities manager, and our team to sit down and work out a program where we can address those issues in a timely manner and make sure that we're working together. So that meeting's going on this Thursday, and we're going to be addressing those issues.
Okay. I just had one other question, and I know we're going to send this to a public hearing, but invest for the fire department. Can you just very briefly explain? I understand that we have to wash the clothes, but almost $59,000 for a washing machine, and maybe it's more technical than that. Seems. Are we not doing it now, or are we contracting it out to have it done, and that's why we need to replace it?
I'll have Mr. Conley, but this washing machine is as
It's the
big
most
as...
expensive washing machine I've ever
I don't know,
seen.
but it's necessary. I mean, turnout gear Let's say, why don't you take it, tell them.
Sorry, there's actually 6 washing machines.
Okay,
So they just recently purchased 2, 6 more will put 1 in every house.
okay. Still, 6 into 59,000 is their heavy-duty commercial. Do they perform some different type of
Well,
process?
turnout gear is the complete overall, so
Right.
it's not like it's a shirt, but I mean, they need a big
Okay.
washing machine to do it, that's why we're doing it.
6 is better
Yeah,
than 1.
I apologize. That would have been a really big washing machine if it was just one. Would have been bigger than my house.
Where are we going to put this washing machine? Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Council Leary.
Just real quick, a quick question on the South Common. I noticed the 482,000. Do we anticipate there's additional grant money coming in after that? I know when we spoke about it, when Councilor Rourke had a motion on it, there was anticipated other funds that may come in. Is that something you know about right now? I know that was a discussion. I knew Mr. McGovern knew about that.
Do you know?
This is outside of the park grant, if
Yeah.
is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, exactly.
So this would be city bond funds to supplement some of the exterior work that's occurring through the South Common Master Plan,
Okay.
which is being funded in pieces through the park grant.
Okay, thank you. And just a quick comment, I appreciate the infrastructure for the schools, but I think part of it we discussed earlier is really reorganizing, and we'll talk about this more, really reorganizing the custodians and the DPW into a maintenance department. I know we'll get into this a little later on tonight, but ultimately, we really got to reconfigure and rethink what we've been doing for so many decades. It really doesn't, it works, we put all our attention and focus on it, but ultimately, this is something that we need to rethink how we're actually administering those services. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Malinazzo?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Question on the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, if I could, Mr. Manager. $400,000 to upgrade the bathrooms, I think you mentioned. Will they be ADA compliant upon completion of that work?
Yes, in a previous capital plan, some money was authorized for the design, and this money will further that work. They will be ADA compliant. We're looking to move them on the concourse floor, so they're not in the lower floor to make for easier access by the patrons.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Manager, real quick, just to piggyback on Councilor O'Leary, with the South Common funds, those outside grant funds, is the redoing of the field part of that 480,000?
Through you, the 482,000 includes just the field lighting and an electrical panel to carry the wattage necessary to light the field.
Okay, so I remember the motion was filed, it was just to, maybe to reseed, and, because the field's in pretty tough shape now, and actually it's used more often than I thought, and there's kids on it probably after school until the sun goes down, so just, seed and some water. All right, thank you. Anything else? No? All right, moving on, communication from the city manager to request out-of-state travel. Oh, that's right, yeah, I apologize. Before we get on to that, we'll accept and place the motion and responses on file by Councilor Malinazzo, second by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor, all those opposed. Next, a communication by the city manager to request out-of-state travel for one person from the Lowell Fire Department. Roll call.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes,
Vice Chair O'Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott. Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott, excuse me. Mayor Kennedy. Counsel Leahy. 7 yeas.
Moving on, votes from the city manager. A vote to apply, accept, expend a grant of $15,015, Massachusetts Attorney General's Office, Rec Department. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Malinazzo, second by Council Samaras. Vote authorizing the city manager to apply, accept, and to expend funds from a grant from the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office to be administered by the City of Lowell Recreation Office. Any comments?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Council Elliott, second by Council Mercia. Comments? Roll call.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
yes,
Vice Chair O'Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy. Counsel Leahy. 7 yeas.
Next vote, authorize the city manager to accept the proposal of David Foss of $51,000 and convey 682 Lawrence Street. Motion to waive the first reading by Council Leary, second by Council Mercia. First reading authorizes the city manager to accept the proposal of David Foss in the amount of $1,000.00 to purchase the property located at 682 Lawrence Street, Lowell, and to execute all documents necessary for the transfer of the property. Move to approve by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Leary. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This was the right thing to do. Thank you very much. I'm very proud of the city for this particular item on our agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy. Counsel Leahy. 7 yeas.
4.3, a vote to rescind prior vote regarding 700 Varnum and declare surplus at 700 Varnum, 129, 131 Townsend Ave, 71, 84, 92, 112 Shirley Ave, 74, 79 Melrose Ave. Minimum bid of $700,000. Motion to waive the first reading by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Leary. Hereby a vote to rescind a prior vote of 10/29/02 regarding 700 Varnum Ave, Lowell, which authorizes the city manager to proceed with the development of a single-family home on said property under the homework program and declaring surplus the properties at 129 and 131 Townsend Avenue, 71, 84, 92, and 112 Shirley Ave, 700 Varnum Avenue, 74 and 79 Melrose Street, Lowell, and authorizing the city manager to seek proposals under the provisions of the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30B, for the disposition of said parcels, namely 129 and 131 Townsend Ave, 71, 84, 92, and 112 Shirley Ave, 700 Varnum Avenue, 74 and 79 Melrose Street. Move to approve by Councilor Leary, second by Councilor Milonazzo. Comments? Roll call.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy. Counsel Leahy. 7 yeas.
Moving on to orders from the city manager. 5.1, a loan order of $11,777,544 for 218 capital improvements. Waive the first, move to public hearing. A loan order to borrow $11,777,544 for the purpose of financing various capital improvements in any related architectural and engineering services in connection therewith and any costs incidental and related thereto. Motion to approve this public hearing, second by Councilor Mercia. We do May 30th for our public hearing. Mr. Manager, correct? All right, sounds good. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right. Ordinance from the city manager, Section 6, ordinance amending zoning changes. Councilor Milonazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. If I could ask my colleagues to indulge the zoning subcommittee, and what I'd like to do is refer the ordinance back to the zoning subcommittee. We had talked last week about referring it to the planning board for a public hearing, but a number of us were contacted by residents that they would like to continue to meet with the zoning subcommittee and have additional dialogue. As you know, and if I could maybe do the zoning report as part of this referral. We're looking to add uses to the zoning ordinance. We're looking to actually do some revisions. We're looking to add accessory uses. We have had a number of meetings. We've actually been talking about this in zoning subcommittee since October, and we have had meetings with the residents, and I think the dialogue has gone very well. In fact, we actually took the efficiency, permitting efficiency, as well as the unregistered vehicles out of the ordinance, referred those to a public hearing, and this, the planning board and the city council approved those too. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's important that we continue to listen to the neighbors and the neighborhood groups. So again, we had a very good zoning subcommittee meeting. We had most of the city councils there, but again, for whatever reason, and I'll take responsibility, the neighborhood groups were not there. So I think that sent up a kind of a red flag to all of us that we really need to make sure that we continue to get their input. I want to thank Christine O'Connor and Eric Slagle for their patience and indulgence. They did a very good job in getting the document ready in ordinance form tonight. But again, I would move that we refer it back to the zoning subcommittee for further discussion.
Second.
A motion by Councilor Milonazzo, refer it back to zoning subcommittee, second by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor, all those opposed, and we'll just continue to another date. Up next, the reports from Youth Services Subcommittee, May 9th, 2017. Chairman Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Youth Services Subcommittee held a public hearing at 5:30 this evening, and I'm very proud to inform my colleagues and all the residents of Lowell it's going to be a very promising summer for our youth here in the city of Lowell. We have many, many jobs lined up. We held a youth job fair at Lowell High School on April 27th that was attended by 62 local businesses that will be hiring 175 of our youth for summer programs. The city of Lowell will be hiring through their Parks and Recreation Department about 180 positions throughout the city of Lowell. And the Career Center of Lowell has grant-funded programs for 250 positions to fill throughout the city of Lowell. And it's something new this year. What we're doing is we now have a van crew through the Parks and Recreation. We're going to have 10 members of our youth in the city to go around and clean parks and corners of the city, clean, paint, whatever it takes all summer long to beautify the city. So in total, we have over 600 summer jobs for our youth that are going to be utilized by our children. They're going to be able to make a couple dollars before entering the school year, and that's great news. And there's more to come. We through our day programs and all our lessons, we're going to have tennis lessons, taekwondo. I think Councilor Mercia signed up for that. She's very excited. We have swimming lessons. Fire trucks and police vans will be on site, the parks for kids to tour. We have arts and crafts program. And all these day programs and lessons will be attended by about 1,500 kids throughout all the parks throughout the city. So that's just a huge number. That's great to see. And what the real kicker is here that we're going to be, for these kids involved in our day programs, are going to be having free breakfast and lunches. Last year, the Parks Department served over 23,000 meals, and we plan on exceeding that this summer. So there will be no child left behind. This is very, very important to our youth in the city. For those children who may not have the means to take to the beach or a summer retreat, and these kids are going to be taken care of. So this is great news to see that our children are going to have many programs and jobs to take advantage of, to keep them occupied over the summer. So it's great to inform my colleagues and the residents home of that great news, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments? Any scheduled subcommittees? No. With that, motion to accept the reports of progress. First by Councilor Mercer, second by Councilor Leary. All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Petitions. Petition 8.1. General Citizens Project, Lowell High School students request permission to address City Council regarding Lucy Larkin beautification project. Councilman? Registered speakers? Yep. Just say your name and address for the record and go right ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Morakat from Lowell High School, and I live in 145 Winthrop Avenue.
Hello, my name is Devin Tongtezumpu. I'm from Lowell High, and I live in 605 Walter Street.
My name is Alex Cintron, and I'm also from Lowell High, and I live on 95 Stevens Street.
We're here to talk about our Generation Citizen project. But before we start, we'd like to thank the City Council members for letting us speak on the City Council meeting today. So every day we go to school and we walk through the Lowell High School tunnel, where it connects the two buildings. And as we look out, we see the canals, filthy, and has stuff thrown in it, and along the walkways near our school also. And for our project, we chose to beautify the canal and the area along the Lowell High School. So we like permission to put garbage barrels alongside the Lucy Larkin Canal and supplies also. And yeah, I'll hand it to Devin.
We are initiating a campaign to aware the students to maintain the sides of the canal clean, and we are also requesting a frequent cleaning of the garbage barrels, and we would like the DPW to lend a hand to help us. I'll pass on to my colleague, Alex.
So what we've been doing so far is we've made an Instagram, and we have about 50 to 70 followers, and we've contacted and gotten in touch with our school news and our school newspaper, and we've been putting up flyers around the school as well, and we've contacted a few other people outside of our school to help us, and yeah, that's about it. So thank you for your time and listening.
You could probably double your Instagram account if you wanted to say what it is right now. Or not.
I don't really know what it is.
Maybe, it might help.
Does somebody else know what
Yeah,
it
does
is?
anybody else know what it is? No?
Oh, no.
All right. We'll put that in the report, okay? Good job.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. First off, it always does our heart good when we see the youth of our city come up here to speak, to do some extracurricular activity, to clean up and help to take care of their little piece of the city. We're very, very impressed by that. I'm also impressed by the fact that it takes courage to come up here to speak, not an easy thing to do, and yet they spoke very eloquently about their plans, and I'm grateful for the respect they showed to ask if thanks for the opportunity to speak here. But let me just remind the youngsters, the students in this room, we're grateful to have you here to speak. We respect the fact that you respect us, but this is not our building, and just because we're sitting in this seat does not mean that it's just us that can speak. You own this building just as much as anybody else. I don't care if you're 5 years old or 50 or 100, and you want to come and speak there, that's your prerogative, that's your right to do that. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the three gentlemen that came here to speak. We're very, very proud, and thank you for your service to the city.
Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. Just briefly, I agree with Council Mercier coming up and taking the initiative on, you identified a problem, something that's troubling that needs to be addressed, and you took the bull by the horns to come up in front of the City Council. I just want to follow up, Mr. Manager, one of the requests was to have the barrels emptied. What are they emptied? Are they emptied every day, or are they not emptied? Are they emptied once a week?
We have waste management that will, we've already looked into this. And this will be a good opportunity for them to find out about the historical aspect of Lucy Blackham Parkway and what type of barrels we'll have to put there. So we'll work with them, and I'll reach out to them this week, and we'll get it moving.
So does he have contact information to follow up? Or anybody remember that Instagram yet? What's Instagram? Okay, you're gonna get a dial-up telephone and call the city manager. But no, again, as Council Mercy mentioned, that's great. It's wonderful that, we need more of you to do that, and I know that there are a lot more folks out there. So excellent job, and thank you what you're doing for the city as well.
Councilor Belanger.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Councilor Belanger, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Well, Generation Citizen is no stranger to the City Council. This is their third time being in front of this council, okay? They spoke regarding the opioid crisis. They spoke regarding the lighting in the downtown. Now it's the cleanliness at Lucy Larkin Park. I can tell you, it's Councilor Mercy Luther. We're very, very proud of them for engaging. So I'm glad Councilor Elliott referred this to the city manager to address. These kids are engaged, and we're very proud of them. We want to keep it that way. So thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor, and Mr. Manager. I'm sure you'll address this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. With that being said, motion to refer to the city manager for a report and recommendation by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor, opposed, passes. Petition number 2, Armin Hebert requests permission to address council regarding harassment in the city.
Good evening. Armin Hebert, 499 Wilder Street. Got 2 issues tonight on harassment in the city. I come before this council for the last 2 years or better and speaking my mind on how I feel on different subjects. And the last couple of weeks, I've been brought to my attention that people are using my name in calling and harassing counselors. No one has the right to use my name to harass anybody. What I speak here is of my own mind, and I do not condone, I do not endorse anybody to come out and use my name to harass anybody, whether it's the council, the city, or anybody else. It's not right, and I do not condone it. And I wish whoever's doing it, they're probably watching because they mention my name a lot. And you do not have the right to speak for me. You want to speak, you come down here like I do, like a lot of other people will be here tonight and come down in past meetings. They come down and speak. Don't hide behind a phone and harass people. It's not right. Now, the second part of my harassment, first I'd like to thank Councilor Rourke for reaching out on this issue. The other day, I'm sitting at work at lunchtime. I get a call from my wife. She's being harassed by 6 or 7 kids in our own driveway, making obscene gestures, doing rude things to her. I do not condone that. I'm sitting there with 4 of my local union members. This is what we were gonna do. We're gonna jump in the car and go take care of it. But since I come down here and speak, I'm trying to use a little more common sense, and I said, call the cops, let them know what's going on. Well, she called the police. Actually, she couldn't even call the police. My daughter, who she was bringing lunch to, called the police for her. The cop goes up there, and he talks to these underage kids, and he comes out to my wife, and he says, are you having a bad day? You bet your life she's having a bad day. So she calls me back. I says, listen, I'll be home after work. And so I go over and I talk to these kids. These kids are frequent people in my yard, in the neighbor's yard. They're connected. And so the kid starts giving me lip. Well, I says, well, I work at a job that I need to pass query checks. And I need not to have a criminal background to keep my job. So now I'm in a tough situation. So I called down the Lowell Police Department. The officer, a female officer, answering the phone, I explained my situation. She says, well, that's legal now. And I'm saying to myself, now I just told you these are underage children. I don't want to speak because there are a lot of children in the gallery. What the law is, I think a lot of people can figure it out. I says, it's not legal if you're in someone else's property and you're underage. Okay, I'll send a cruiser up. So now the cruiser comes up, goes back, interviews these kids. The smell's in the air, we'll say, okay? So I come out, I says, well, what are you gonna do about this? Now they harass my wife, you see what they're doing back there? He states it's legal now. I mean, I know we send the police department to a lot of seminars, I see a boat on every time. What kind of training are we giving these officers that they don't even know the laws they're citing? I come up here and speak, you bet your life, I got all my lines crossed, I made all my T's crossed, I got all my I's dotted, because I don't want to look like an idiot like these cops just did to me, all right? Well, years ago, my family, we took care of problems on our own. So from now on, my problems will be taken care of by me. And if the Lowell Police Department comes knocking on my door, good luck to them. That's what I'm going to let everybody know here tonight. I'm not putting up with this. They failed me 2 times in 3 years. This police department has failed me. We got a captain that does not even hold regards to the U.S. Constitution. He makes up his own rules. So from now on, I'm going to be my own vigilante.
Motion to refer the city manager for report recommendation. Council Mercer, second by Council Leary. Petition 8.3, miscellaneous, Marty Tai, request permission to address council regarding time frame of Lowell High School site decision.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if there's no objection, I'd like to take my motion out of order. Motion number 9.3, which pertains to information and a time frame, if there's no objection.
Motion by Council Belanger, second by Council Leary. Motion 9.3 to combine with Mr. Ty's petition, request city manager provide all information to the city council needed to make a decision regarding the Lowell High School project at least 14 days prior to any such vote. Seconded by Councilor Malinazzo.
Please let the author of the petition go first, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Ty.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for allowing me to speak tonight. I'll be speaking on the importance of making a decision on the location of a new Lowell High School. I'm a resident of Belvedere who gladly welcomes all city kids from every section into my neighborhood. I will be speaking on the impact of this decision from a young family's perspective and from a resident who recognized the city's need to move forward. As a father of four, a Lowell High freshman, an 8th grader currently enrolled at the high school and dying to attend based on what happens, a 5th grader, and a 1st grader at Riley Elementary, I have a keen interest in this decision. My views on this decision have been influenced by many of the things that I have learned growing up. My mother immigrated to this country as a teenager in search of education. She met a bricklayer, got married, and had 5 boys. She consistently impressed upon us the value of education. In her view, education was a launching pad to success and advancement. Unfortunately, she passed away young. Her children ranged from the ages of 8 to 18. As a single parent, my dad reinforced the education message, and we became the first in our family to graduate college. Education has served us well. We have gone on to have families and continue to reinforce the strength of education. We enjoy Lowell High School and thrived in that setting. In fact, my brother Patrick had the honor of being named a distinguished alumni of Lowell High School. Lowell High School is a unique blend of strong academics, diversity, a celebration of different cultures. Frankly, it's a launching pad to success. When my mom passed, my dad would say that health is the single most important factor in an individual's and a family's success. He was a religious man who was thankful for his family's health. I bring this up because it relates to this high school decision. Education and health concerns are of paramount importance to a family's prosperity. Renovation options 1, 2, and 3 put both of those at risk. At best, those options provide a subpar, disruptive learning environment. At worst, a health hazard, with an incident due to the removal of hazardous materials known to be in those buildings. These are considerations for young families. They need to decide if they will subject their children to this environment. Alternative options require enrollment decisions by June 30th. I ask that the council demands Perkins Eastman and Skanska deliver the data in a timely fashion to allow for that decision to be made on June 13th. Thank you, Councilor Belanger, for your motion requesting just that. I also ask that this decision is made so that the city can get busy moving on. I spend a lot of time in the fall, the spring, and the summer at Colley Stadium. My 4 kids all play sports there. I coach several teams at Machado Field and on the turf at Colley Stadium. I work with an organization that provides free sports to city kids, currently at 180 and growing. I travel buses and drive to and from Colley Stadium. Recently, as we take a left on 38 towards the fields, the kids see multiple signs on many yards. I have heard several times that these people don't want us here. The message is clear, and it's being heard. I have spoken to high school coaches that have heard the same refrain. I let the kids know that this is not the case on other Belvedere streets, and certainly not in other sections of the city. This decision needs to be made June 13th. The city needs to move on. The young families need to move on, and kids need to feel welcome again at Colley Stadium. As this decision is being made, please keep the kids at the core of your decision-making process. With education, you're given a voice. Tonight, I use that voice to advocate for those that don't have one, and for my family and other city families. Change is hard. We all have fond memories of the buildings down the street. A new location can provide better, and it is time to make a change. Seth Gordon, a noted agent for change, once said, "Change almost never fails because it's too early. It always fails because it's too late." Let's not make this decision too late. The decision on the school will be a bold one. It will allow the city to move forward. For the health of all city residents, I implore you, please, let's make this decision June 13th and let the city move forward. Thank you for your time.
Councilor Belanger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor, and thank you to Mr. Ty for those very eloquently done speech. It was very nice, a very nice message that he sent, and I thank him for being not only a concerned citizen, but very active in our youth sports, and he helps so many kids throughout the city, so I thank him on that front too, Mr. Ty. Thank you very much for what you do. But yes, Mr. Vice Mayor, through you to the manager. Mr. Manager, as you can see, there's a very heavy appetite for information, okay? There's a lot of tension out there, as we all know. There's a lot of passion, a lot of heart in this on both sides of the issue, okay? And this council is ready to lead and make an informed decision, but we cannot do that without information, okay? Although I understand some of that is out of our hands, okay? With Skanska, I know they are, but some of it is not. You know, field replication and traffic studies, that's in the city's hands. So I'd like a status on that information. So it's just, I think, you know, sort of impatience plays a role too. We need to make a decision and move forward so we can hopefully all rally behind one location, okay, whatever that may be, okay? But we need the information to do it. And recently, last week, Assistant City Manager Mike McGovern sent us a rather ambitious outreach schedule. When information is in, there's going to be outreach again to the public in all neighborhoods of the city, and that's very important. That has to get done. So this council needs to absorb all that information, as well as attend all these information sessions. So we've got our work cut out for us. We are fine with that, but we are ready to make a decision. We cannot do that at this time. So, Mr. Vice Mayor, through you to the manager. Now, Mr. Manager, do you have any sort of timeline of the stuff, I guess that's in the city's control, traffic studies, environmental is complete, field replication, where do we stand just on those two fronts, may I ask?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. As we sent out in an email to all the councilors last week, is that we've sent the two environmental reports to the councilors. The one relative to the Collie site and relative to the downtown site. And we are going to have those two engineers here next Tuesday at the City Council meeting. I'll be making a presentation relative to those two reports. If there are any other technical questions that I can't answer, I will have the two engineers here for any of those technical questions. We're hoping to have the traffic study anytime now. And as soon as we get the traffic study, we will forward it to the City Council just like we forwarded the environmental studies. And if they are in prior to next Tuesday, we will have the traffic engineer here at the meeting to answer. Again, I will give the presentation relative to the traffic study, but any technical questions that I can't understand, I can't explain, we will have the traffic expert here to answer those technical questions. We've been working diligently relative to the field replication. It hasn't been easy. We don't have a lot of open space in Lowell, but we've been working very, very hard, and we think we've come up with a very reasonable presentation for EEOA. And we've scheduled an appointment to meet with EEOA in Boston on Friday, whatever week from this Friday is, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to give our presentation relative to the replication of the field on Article 97. There's a lot of information. We've been pushing the engineers, believe me. We want to reach the June 13th deadline. But as you can imagine, with such a mammoth project, this has been a lot of work for our experts, but we're going to start providing this information next Tuesday. The city administration is going to be taking a more active role in the presentation. and I think we're going to give as much information as possible to the city council. And as soon as any more information comes in, it will be forwarded to the city council immediately. We're looking at getting, right now, we're anticipating getting the final reports for the council package on June 2nd, and then having the presentation on the following June 6th. If it comes in earlier, the city council will get copies of that immediately upon our receipt. But that's our schedule right now. We're pushing Skanska and Perkins Eastman as hard as we can, but we will be starting to make a presentation next week at the city council meeting.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. That's good news to hear. The spirit of the motion is so that this council is ready to make a decision, but it has to be an informed decision. We need all the information, okay? And I understand some is out of our control and some is not. So I'm just trying to avoid, I don't want a thick packet on Friday the 9th before the vote, okay? This council will not be able to absorb this sort of information in just a matter of days. It's going to take a few weeks, so that's therefore, I think a 14-day timeline for all the information to be submitted is suffice. I'm sure I'm going to hear from every one of my colleagues on this issue, but it's just we're all a little impatient. I'm not going to lie, Mr. Mayor. That goes for the council and the public, but we are ready to lead. Now, when information comes in, Mr. Manager, it instantly goes on the website for the public too, as well. As soon as it, and you'll make that ready available for the public as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, as well as we'll be having informative sessions throughout the neighborhoods in the city too. So I'm curious. I'd like to speak later on. I'd like to hear the input from my colleagues. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Samaras and Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. In regard to this information that's been presented by Skanska and Perkins, just waiting. Mr. Manager, as you're aware, I did make a motion that the city take a bigger role in giving out this information. And I actually talked about, I use, we'll say legal terms or terms that you're used to having you as city manager act as a judge. When lawyers ask a judge for a finding of fact, it means there's a lot of information that's being presented to that judge, and the lawyers do ask the judge to establish what is real and what is in plain sight fact. The issue that I'm trying to get to is that since the OPM started the delivery of the information to the city or to different people attend the neighborhood meetings, I spoke out stating that I was not pleased with their earlier presentations. I think there was a lot of misinformation given out or misinformed information, mistimed information, and over the months, it has created some angst with a lot of people, where sometimes this council's been accused of lying to people or what. No one's lying. It's just that the information's come out, the way it's come out incomplete, then it's repaired, so to speak, it's changed, and people are saying, what's going on? So I think, based on what Councilor Belanger stated, we should have the information a couple of weeks before we actually make any vote, so we can discuss it with your office, discuss it amongst ourselves, discuss it with our constituents. But I think it's very important that when the information is ready, it is your organization, your team that actually makes the presentation. And by making that presentation, you're also going to include, for example, when we talk about busing, that type of issue, what busing can cost, what it will cost if we don't expend the money, how the times will change in the schools. If there are sidewalks needed, there are sidewalks needed. If there's issues with asbestos, what has to take place? I think we have to make sure that as your team vets out all the information that's being presented, that it's being presented in an orderly fashion and basically addresses the many questions that people have about both sides, so we can ensure that when we make our decision, we make the best decision possible. But we want to also be able to assure people that whichever direction we go in, that a reasonable decision was made as to why we're going in that direction with reasonable information. I mean, I know that as far as costs, we won't know the real cost till a builder comes in and states, it'll cost me 200 million, 300 million, whatever it is, to build the high school. And but we know our people have the expertise. Let me go back a little bit. I have no question about Skanska and Perkins having the expertise to run the project and do the project. I always questioned how it was delivered out into the neighborhood groups. I don't think it was delivered well. Too often I was at a place where you couldn't hear what they had to say, you couldn't see the visuals, so people came away and no real discussions took place. Actually, what I'm hoping, and along with Councilor Belanger's request for a couple of weeks' notice, that perhaps after this, we may have to ensure that we have more dialogue with the community. Because once all of these facts are out, I think reasonable people will make a reasonable judgment. But also, you have to allow the different neighborhoods to interject what they feel, make sure that they understand what the information is, that the information is correct that they have, and they too can help with the judgment. This is not going to be this is not an easy project. It's the biggest project this city has ever faced, but I think it's it's probably the most important project this city will ever face, because it has to do with the lives of our children and their education. So I want it to be the best possible. So, Mr. Manager, we're looking forward to having that from you in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So I sit on the school building committee, and as well as Councilor Samaras, and I think they're very clear. We meet monthly, and there is a schedule. And the schedule is essentially driven by the school building authority meeting, which is held at the end of every month. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Manager.
They meet every 2 months, so it's,
Okay,
but it is driven by their schedule.
So we were told just this past Thursday that Perkins Eastman, they will be providing the information to this city council on June 6th. A vote is scheduled for June 13th, which in the spirit of this, the petition from Mr. Ty and Councilor Belanger, there is a 1 week time frame for us to get that information on that Tuesday, certainly not Friday, and then move forward. But I also want to make clear, the information that we have been getting, the environmental phase 2 assessments, that is put up as soon as we get it. Traffic information will be provided before the 6th, as soon as those studies are conducted. Some of the information that's requested, I just want to make perfectly clear to everybody watching and everyone following this. Busing is not part of Skanska feasibility study, and that information will not be forthcoming. That's something separate. Construction vehicles in and out of whatever site is being chosen, that's not part of the vehicular traffic. Sidewalks that are being discussed, that's not going to be part of the feasibility study. Yes, sidewalks on the footprint at the location will be, but anything after that, that's, let's just be clear, that there are issues, there are costs, but that's not going to be part of the final package. Correct, Mr. Manager?
Correct. What Skanska and Perkins Eastman will be providing is options that are in compliance with the MSBA standards. If we want to increase those, then that's up to the city council to do. We have although I must say, we have requested the school department to give us a busing report, so that at least we'll have that information in judging the cost of a proposed thing, but we're still waiting for that report from the school department.
Look, I agree. I think they're very important, and I don't discount the fact that what Councilor Samaras is saying should be part of, because it is. It's all part of it. But we want to keep on the time frame, and as Mr. Ty mentioned, they want to know about enrollment and moving forward. Let's be clear. We do have that window of time. And if we want to hold meetings, we should start scheduling them now. Once we know we're getting the information on June 6th, you'll be presenting that to the city council?
Yes, as part of the schedule that we sent out, we plan on having a public forum The city council will have a public forum on June 8th. That we have a community meeting on June 10th, which is a Saturday.
Okay,
That we have a community meeting on June 12th.
good.
And then on June 13th is the vote by the city council. So we've already incorporated 3 forums for the public to come in to give their comments about the alternatives.
Okay, good. I mean, look, I support the petition. Lots of discussion, lots of tension, and at some point we have to move forward. I agree. I just want to, on the busing issue, I think that's very important that information come in before, certainly before the vote on the 13th, as well as the other discussion. So is there any expectation? I know a presentation was given by Mr. Dakota, but is there, is something else happening? You just hear about it.
Oh, no, we've requested that report, and we've followed up with reminders that we need that information prior to the 13th so the council can make an informed decision, because you're going to have to include the cost of busing in any decision. So we have requested that of the school department.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Leary.
Just to follow up, so we're going to have this information on Friday, June 2nd, in our packet, so that'll be made, at least the written information, correct?
Correct. That's the last date that we want. I mean, if we get it sooner, we'll provide it to you. But that's our target date, June 2nd, to put it in the package.
Mr. Manager, so we are in a summer schedule, right, following Memorial Day, and I don't think there's a meeting scheduled for the 6th.
So we're going to have to get a...
It's going to be a special
We'll
meeting.
have a special meeting just for that topic. That makes sense.
For this topic.
Okay.
So just time-wise, I'm sorry.
No, it makes sense.
Timing, should we do it on a Thursday before, or maybe the Monday before, just for time? If we have it, as Councilor Elliott stated, as soon as possible. I know this has to be taken care of, but just.
But at the
for record,
latest, it
there's
would
no
be
6th.
June 2nd, special meeting, June 6th. You have lined up meetings for the 8th, the 10th, the 12th, the 13th is the meeting. And that's obviously, people will be able to speak at that point. When is the next building subcommittee meeting, special building committee meeting?
The 8th.
6th.
The 6th?
I believe June 1st, there'll be a school building committee meeting, and then a follow-up meeting on June 8th.
Okay.
Where they'll give their recommendation to the city council.
Oh, yeah, the Thursday.
All right, so what I would recommend strongly is 2 things. One, not everybody can attend them. I know it's a working group, but at least have LTC there so people can actually see that over the weekend. I think it's imperative. They haven't been a part of it. I think they're going to be making the recommendation. There's a lot of interesting information that does go on in those meetings. I think it's imperative that we get that information out as well so people can ask, really better questions of what's going on. I think that's important for both those meetings. In addition, where are we going to have these scheduled meetings then? Have you planned out what locations these meetings will be in June?
Well, the city council public forum will be here in the council chamber, so that will be televised. We're looking at probably having the first community on that Saturday, having at the Irish Auditorium, so that we can make the presentation to the people on Saturday. On the June 12th meeting, we haven't set up a date yet, but we will get an appropriate, and within mind, like Councilor Samara said, so that the visuals are clear and that the audio is clear. It looks like, I've been told now that it's going to be at the senior center. It would be the second meeting. So that's a good place to have it also.
All right, good. But I think we should have LTC at these meetings. I know some folks are not watching, some people do. Anywhere we can get this information out to folks, the better for everybody. I had a motion that was passed by the council regarding the busing, asking that same information, so hopefully we'll get that in the next week or two. I think I was at the presentation. I know there's a lot more work that will go into it. At least it's a good preliminary report for people to see what some of the options are. The other issue, I think, is the traffic study. When that gets in, is that also going to talk about really pedestrian traffic as well? So we're talking probably sidewalk information, or at least get a good outline as to what that might be, correct? Or is that, okay. And I know, Councilor Elliott, we're going to have at least 2 or 3 more finance subcommittee meetings regarding the actual cost of it. I think that it's obviously challenging. I think we want to make sure we hit the June 13th mark so the community can move on. But at the same time, we want to make sure we afford people the opportunity to express based on the information. So that June 13th is predicated on the MSBA making a decision in August, correct? Or June?
In August would be the next meeting of the MSBA.
So we're not going to make the June MSBA meeting at this point?
No.
Okay. So I guess basically the dumb question, I guess, basically, if you need an additional week to go to special meeting June 20th, we are afforded more time should that be needed, correct? Or no? Or the 13th is to make that August
13th,
meeting, we
yeah.
must do the 13th.
Right, otherwise we go to the October meeting.
Which will cost significant, that's when it starts to add up. No, I appreciate it. I think as long as we get this information, as long as we get information so people can understand, because a lot of folks, really, one, they don't get all the information. They get bits and pieces. They take the bits and pieces and believe they're gospel, when in fact, there's a lot of information that simply hasn't been provided. So that's something that's important, that once we get it, that you lead that presentation with the information, and the facts will be what the facts are. So everybody who's taking their time with the Facebook muscles and what have you, the information is not out there, but it should be out there really in the month of May. Next meeting's the 16th is a significant meeting for our information, correct, with the traffic study hopefully, and the soil stuff. Then the information right after that in June coming will be factual.
Absolutely, and those environmental reports are on our website.
Correct.
So that information is out there. We'll post the traffic study on the website when that comes in. I really have to credit Mr. McGovern and Mr. Conley. They spend hours on hours each day dealing with the high school issue. We have questions, we have issues come up every day, so we are working diligently to try and meet this schedule.
Okay.
It's been difficult, but we're trying to meet it.
No, and I would appreciate it. But let's make sure we get the LTC folks to these building committee meetings too. A lot of people can't make it during the day, and I know it's a working meeting, so we're not going to schedule them at night, but it's important that people actually see what occurred. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. No, Councilor Elliott's correct in regard to what the MSBA needs as far as information is concerned. But I still maintain that the situations like traffic, busing, those issues are germane to us as city councilors making a complete choice or being able to understand the ramifications of whatever choice we make. And that's the information that the public has to have also. That's my point. Thank you.
Councilor Milanazo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. A lot of good comments are being made here tonight. Obviously, we're in a tight schedule to get a lot of information out to the public. My question is, after June 13th, because I'm confident that vote will take place June 13th, between June 13th and the MSBA meeting, what happens? Will there be any other votes that may end up coming back to the council? Is the MSBA meeting a public meeting that residents could attend to just listen to the deliberations? And any communication that we get between June 13th and the MSBA meeting should be put up on the website, just to make sure that if we're getting anything, the community needs to see it as well. Because again, I don't know what's going to happen after we submit all the documentation. I mean, I think there's probably going to be questions and comments, probably good comments, but at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that the flow of information continues after June 13th.
Absolutely. I don't anticipate any votes after June 13th, any votes that we have to take. I'm hoping to have them before the June 13th meeting and then the June 13th meeting. It is open to the public. I will tell you there's not a lot of room in the conference room, but it is open to the public and they can attend the meeting in Boston. But we will always keep sending out all information that we get, not only to the city council. I always try and get it to the city council first, then to the school building committee, and then to the website. That's the procedure that we've been employing relative to information.
If I could, Mr. Vice Chair, just as a follow-up question, at what point during the calendar year do we then vote on the city share for the financing of the
Sorry, as the actual loan order?
Right.
That'll probably be sometime in spring of 2018.
2018, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anything else? Just a quick question from the chair, if I may. Mr. Manager, what votes will be taken before the June 13th meeting?
Well, we're looking into any votes that we have to do to make sure that these options are ready to go to the MSBA. Our OPM has talked to us about any votes we have to take relative to the eminent domain issue and any other votes that have to be taken. So we're researching that process right now, and whatever votes have to be taken, we'll make sure they're made in a timely manner.
Okay, just quickly, with the Article 97 issues, will there be any update that we just listen for from the state delegation to see what happens with that?
As I said, the meeting that we have, it is a week, is it May 19th? The meeting we have on May 19th will tell us a lot about whether EEOA is signing on to the field replication, and that will impact the Article 97 process significantly. So we'll have more information on the 19th.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilman Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. When the EEOA met in the mayor's reception room, I asked the person in charge, that was the head one, I asked him, in the replication to satisfy the Article 97, is it possible that if someone, an outside entity, wanted to help us by offering to build fields, even though they're paying for it, would that be considered our met obligation? And he said yes. Remember that? So is there still something in the works with that, or?
Yes, we've been working on sponsorship opportunities for fields. We worked with UMass Lowell, we work with other high schools, private high schools in the area, and yes, they did say that was an opportunity.
Yes, they did.
To
They
partner
said
with
that,
somebody to
and I
replicate
didn't
the
forget it,
fields.
right.
Yep.
And also, when we talk about unforeseen costs that we might never be able to factor in before the vote, such as cost overruns, change orders, that is a very important, and contaminated debris, dirty dirt, very, very costly. These are things that aren't going to be factored in, that we have to keep in the back of our mind.
Well, all of the costs that will be presented to you include contingencies for change orders or unknown conditions. So there are contingencies in this. And I will tell you that Skanska and Perkins Eastman have a history of coming in within the cost estimates that they've given. The most recent example is the Winchester High School project. They actually came in under budget on that one. So I'm confident that the cost projections, including the contingencies, will cover the construction of whatever option we choose to go with.
Well, I hope they're more accurate with finances than they are with modular classrooms, because that wasn't so good.
Councilman Mazzo.
Just quickly, the manager brought up a good point about Winchester. The contingency at Winchester was $5 million, and they did come under budget. I understand the contingency on all of our four options is about $20 million, which we know the number. We're going to be prepared, in the event that we do have change orders or additional costs that we don't now foresee. But I think that you're correct, that they do a good job, honing in on the exact costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Leary.
Just a quick follow-up to that. So if we do go above the contingency, would the administration come back to the council and say we need additional money, or are we going to have to live within our means once we set a budget? It's probably a question we don't want to answer today, but I guess the point that I guess one of the things that always recurs in my mind, because many projects have gone over, what you happen when you go beyond the contingency, what do you do? And I think often what we do is we start scaling back the project and getting rid of different items because it becomes too costly, which is, I think, unfortunately, what we will end up doing, because this cost is so significant that once we book a number, get the bid, pretty much that's going to be it. So the contingency, if we go over it, probably going to have to make some cuts.
But that's one of the reasons that these Perkins Eastman and Skanska was chosen, because of their track record relative to building it within the budget.
Would agree that that's a probably potential issue if that does happen.
I'm not foreclosing anything.
Okay, thank you.
Council Belanger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. Well, that was some great dialogue by my colleagues, very, very good input. Seem to be very supportive of the motion. Through you, Mr. Vice Mayor, to the manager. Now, Mr. Manager, that historic vote is set to take place 5 weeks from tonight. So therefore, in your estimation, do you think we're going to have all the information in 3 weeks, approximately, to make that informed decision and do all the outreach in the community that's necessary, in your estimation?
If June 2nd is 3 weeks from now, yes, then that's correct. That's the last, that's the drop dead date that we have set to get the information, but I'm hoping that it gets here earlier.
Okay. It succeeds, it's give or take by about 24, 48 hours. Okay, that will be suffice, okay. Okay, so that's it, and through you, Mr. Vice Mayor, the clerk, I'd like a roll call vote on this, too. Thank you.
Hold on a second. Councilor Elliott?
Just briefly in terms of process. So moving forward, what will happen, as was reported at the school building committee, information will be presented by Skanska to the school building committee, and by statute, they are the delegated authority that will make the recommendation, the preferred option to the city council, who at the end of the day ultimately has a decision on which option we will send down to the Massachusetts School Building Authority for final decision. But that recommendation, so once the information is presented, the SBC will actually take a vote to recommend to the city council.
That's correct. We will present on June 6th the preferred schematic options to the city council, just make a presentation.
Right.
Then on June 8th, that same presentation will be made to the school building committee, and the school building committee will then take a vote as to the recommendation, what they think is the preferred option to the city council. But as I've always said, that's a recommendation.
Right, is that a requirement, Mr. Manager?
Yes, an absolute requirement.
It's a requirement that committee come
Yes.
up with the recommendation.
Yes.
But the council, in its wisdom,
Can accept or reject it.
okay.
You're the ones who have to borrow the money, so it's in your wisdom to decide what is the preferred schematic option to
I just, thank you, Mr. Manager, Mr. Vice Chair. I just want to make it clear what the process is to everybody moving forward. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And one more quick question, Mr. Manager, if possible. So you mentioned different votes to be taken. Do you expect an eminent domain vote to be next week or the week after?
I will have a better answer on that tomorrow, Mr. Vice Chairman, and I will let the council know what the answer is and what our projected schedule is for such a vote.
Great, thank you. First off, with regards to Mr. Ty's petition, motion to refer to the city manager for a report and recommendation by Councilor Leary, second by Councilor Mercia. Then to Councilor Belanger's motion. All my comments have been made, so all those opposed, all those in favor, motion passes. Returning to the...
He wanted
sorry,
a roll
sorry,
call.
Councilor Belanger wants a roll call. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Council Leary.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy. Council Leahy. 7 yeas.
Thank you. 8.4 of the agenda, miscellaneous petition. Christy Faletra requests permission to address council regarding potential harmful conditions of a high school renovation. Is that name and address, please?
My name is Christy Faletra. I live at 38 Carriage Drive in Belvedere. Tonight, members from the group Citizens for Collie are here to address the council on just a few of the issues we deem important related to the location of our new high school. I would like to speak briefly on the concerns I have surrounding the health and safety hazards of a renovation. As we prepare to have representatives discuss what hazardous materials have been found at the current high school and surrounding areas, let's touch on what we already know. Asbestos has been identified in the floor tiles, ceilings, and lab tables currently used by students. Mercury from the gym floor is high and is seeped into the subfloor and concrete below. The indoor air quality is concerning with levels of mold spores in the air. Currently, falling debris from the ceilings is not being cleaned up professionally. It's not contained or closed off. There are barrels of standing water in the hallways. And construction hasn't even begun yet. We've all heard of lawsuits, workers' comp, and grievances related to asbestos exposure due to inadequate demolition and renovation. Most recently, the lawsuit at Greater Lowell Tech. Our own Attorney General stated that too often children, families, and workers are exposed to airborne asbestos fibers due to shoddy or unlicensed work, and many aren't aware of the serious danger it presents. Downtown supporters insist that won't happen here in Lowell, that our site will, of course, be sealed properly and everyone will be safe. But can you guarantee that? Let me tell you what we can guarantee. Thousands of students, teachers, and staff will be put at risk. One mistake, one incident, one neglectful worker, and those we love are in danger. Again, others will have you believe the danger is minimal. Arsenic in the soil, no big deal. It's not like the kids are eating the dirt anyway. Mold, asbestos, we're exaggerating. Of course it will be handled appropriately. Are these facts? No. Probable? Maybe, but not a guarantee. Here's something I can share that is a fact. I am a cancer survivor. 6 months of chemotherapy and 25 days of radiation later, I was told I was in remission. But the journey never ends. I have an 85% chance of developing a secondary cancer in my lifetime. Something as simple as the flu puts me at risk because my heart has already worked overtime and is weaker for it. My thyroid isn't what it used to be, and I'll be on medication the rest of my life. My risk of a stroke is higher due to the location of my radiation. My brain doesn't work as quickly as everyone else's. It takes me longer to process what someone says to me and compose an answer. I often forget words or use the wrong word. It's frustrating and embarrassing, disheartening and petrifying. Not a day goes by that I don't think about my own mortality, waiting for the other shoe to drop. My 2 boys are here tonight. Everything I do is for them. I don't want them to ever have to deal with 1 ounce of what I've endured. Not my boys, not their friends, not the kids of the downtown supporters, not any child in Lowell. It is our responsibility to keep them safe and to keep them healthy. The only way to ensure that is by foregoing the downtown options, keeping them away from a construction zone, and building new at Cawley. This is not a scare tactic. This is a reality. It is my hope that the members of the City Council will remember, council will remember my story when deciding the location of our high school and the safety of our children for the next 5 to 7 years. The only answer is Cawley. Thank you.
We have a registered speaker.
Laura Ortiz.
Just name and address, please.
Hi, Laura Ortiz, 1284 Lawrence Street. I don't know how you guys speak all the time. Get really nervous. So I'm here to talk about the children with chronic medical conditions, and you have 2,407 with asthma district-wide, 351 with anaphylaxis, 114 with seizure disorder, and 31 with diabetes. And I'm greatly concerned with the pictures that I've seen coming out of Lowell High School. I'm concerned with even some of the other schools that I've been in. I would like to know if it's possible to see a little bit more transparency from you guys of the City of Lowell to make all inspectional reports, as well as a school dudes janitor list of any violations that every single school made public on a website from 2011 to the present. I would like to see accountability so we can follow the violations, showing that they were remediated, that they've been fixed, whether it's a building code violation or Board of Health inspectional violation. I'm also concerned, as what she said so eloquently, when you build the high school, you're opening up a whole other can of worms, and I'm greatly concerned with what I see right now. And so you have, I think it's a 1922 building that was supposed to have a new roof, if I read it correctly, in 2012, but yet it failed in 2014. So I'm greatly concerned for the effects of the high school students that have been there for the past 3 years, whether it's that building or I think it's the 1892. I apologize, I didn't grow up here. If I understood that correctly, that leak, the walkways, and those types of things, you know, people are breathing in the air, and it's not just the students, it's your staff. It's our hero teachers every day. And, you know, I don't think it's sounding the alarm too large to think that there's a possibility that they could be breathing in, you know, air that is not healthy for them. I'm concerned about cases of asthma that could be caused. And, you know, is it possible to get some type of a accountability report to see the schools and to see the issues. I'm not really quite sure who to address it to. And so that we can see that you're making an effort. So we can have a little bit more faith in what's going on. And I also want to say thank you for letting me speak. Okay.
Motion to refer the city manager for report and recommendation.
So move.
Council Elliott, second by Council O'Leary. Next petition of the evening, miscellaneous. Paul Haley, request permission to address council regarding last week's Board of Health meeting. Name and address, sir.
Paul Haley, 653 Wilder Street. Vice Mayor, City Councilor, City Manager Murphy, thank you for affording me the opportunity to speak tonight. I appreciate having a chance to state my concerns. I have actually two. First is the inadequate maintenance of the LHS facilities and the subsequent unsafe and potentially hazardous environment such neglect has fostered for current and future LHS student staff. The lack of unresponsiveness and transparency from the city during recent attempt to gather information. My concerns are particularly troubling to me as a husband to a current LHS administrator and a father of what I hope to be 3 future LHS students. These concerns were raised and heightened while educating myself about the new LHS project and reached a boiling point after having had a few days to process the information that was shared at last Thursday's Board of Health meeting, where they reviewed hazardous assessment reports provided by Perkins Eastman. This leads me to my first concern regarding the unsafe conditions stemming from inadequate maintenance and disaster response plans. Having had the opportunity to attend the meeting and subsequently review the report discussed, I couldn't help but note that the most recent report assumes that all ceiling tiles contain asbestos, as well as the fact that there is a presence of mold. This is incredibly troubling because I was in possession of almost 80 photographs in over 12 different locations within the high school buildings that I shared with inspectional services. I was compelled to share them because I believe the city and the school department have failed as a failed maintenance and response program that may have exposed students and faculty to potentially hazardous materials such as friable asbestos, or water-soaked ceilings, walls, and floors with promote mold growth. We cannot feel good about having over 3,100 students and 400 staff working in a facility under these conditions. We are at a point where action can no longer be put off because the risk is far too high for action to get lost in reports or committees. As our city council, our city is counting on you to act and implement an action plan, not request a report or send to a committee. Regardless of the impending decision on a new Lowell High School project, regardless of the debate over locations or options, we need action, and a true maintenance action plan needs to be addressed in the short term. Support the intermediate term and provide a long-term vision that moves away from reactive responses and Band-Aids. My second concern. Now, regarding the lack of responsiveness and transparency from the city, between March 6th and March 9th, a Freedom of Information Act request was filed with the city's legal department and inspectional services for access to any and all inspections at LHS, including air quality and hazardous abatement, as well as certificate of occupancy reports. Approximately 2 weeks later, the city administration informed the requesters that no such reports or inspections could be located. However, during the Board of Health meeting last week, the city's chief building inspector offered them all of these reports and inspections to the Board of Health. I would respectfully ask that you provide any and all reports you have on LHS so that the findings from these reports be made available to the public. Lack of transparency has created mistrust, and that is not what we need right now. when we are talking about our children and our staff members' health and well-being on the line. In closing, now is the time for action. We must be diligent in safeguarding our students and staff by ensuring that they are going to a school and working environment that is environmentally safe and that those conditions can be maintained. We must also make sure that we safeguard the community's trust by remaining open and promoting transparent exchanges of information, regardless of whether these exchanges of information are positive or negative. As a husband and father, I implore you to act on the two concerns I have outlined tonight. It is an opportunity for you to lead us through this time of a divided community. It is an opportunity for a 21st century learning environment. You, the city manager, and the council have an opportunity to lead us to a 21st century location. Cawley.
Mr. Speaker.
Hi, Joanne Keegan, 67 Raynor Street. I just would like to follow up on a few points that Mr. Haley made regarding the Board of Health meeting last Wednesday. As the chairperson, I was present, and a few things have transpired since that meeting. One of the issues that the board discussed was the high mercury level in the gym floor, in the rubber flooring in the gym. And so the city administration reached out to the Universal Environmental Consultant Group that did the study because the board was interested in knowing whether some immediate remediation was necessary. And their response was that currently there's no environmental health issue regarding the flooring as long as the flooring is not removed, cut, or altered in any way. And so we did get an answer on that issue. Secondly, the board discussed, as Mr. Haley alluded to, critical health code violations at Lowell High School and what the process was for responding to those. And as the manager said earlier, there is a planned meeting between the school department and the city to look at that list of the needs at the high school and to try to prioritize around critical health issues. The city health inspectors have been in the high school and done their own assessment, which the board looks forward to at a meeting that we've called for May 31st to follow up on this issue. In addition, the Department of Public Health, the Bureau of Environmental Health, has requested by letter to the superintendent that they come to Lowell and make a site visit based on phone calls they've received from the public with regard to conditions at the high school. And so the board is hopeful that working together, we can move this issue in the right direction. And I just wanted to follow up on those points, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Ms. Keegan. We also have another registered speaker.
Laura Ortiz.
No?
Laura Ortiz.
Oh, you all set? Okay, fine. Thank you. With regards to the petition, yeah. A motion to refer to the city manager for a report and recommendation. Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Mercia. Next petition of the evening, Anthony Filetra requests permission to address council regarding effect of Lowell High School location in the future of the city.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Filetra. I live at 38 Carriage Drive in Lowell, Lowell. First, I'd like to say how proud I am of my wife for her wonderful speech tonight. My wife and I have two boys, ages 10 and 12, and I'm here to speak tonight in support of the high school at Cawley Stadium and why I believe putting the high school at Cawley Stadium will benefit the city for years to come. From the young age, the values of the community and public service were ingrained into my everyday life. I learned firsthand how important it was to be active and vocal, to fight for just not your rights, but for those around you. I learned this from watching my uncle, the late Tom Menino, mayor of Boston. He showed me how to throw myself into a community and try to make it the best it can be. He taught me that the city isn't about a single neighborhood. It is about every part of the city and every person in it, regardless of their race or background. When my family and I moved here almost 8 years ago, we took that to heart. We saw what a great community Lowell is, and quickly we became immersed in it and all it offered. In recent weeks, on social media, members of the Citizens for Collie have been referred to as lax dads. I'm here to say that I am a lax dad. I am also a football dad. I'm a baseball dad. I'm a basketball dad. My wife is a lax mom, and a football mom, and a baseball mom, as many other moms and dads in our group are. Call us what you will. We are proud of those names because they show how active our participation is in the community of Lowell. I am proud that our friends started a free football league in the hopes of keeping at-risk kids from the poorer areas of the city off the streets and active in their community. I am proud of the people in our group who received a grant from the Bill Belichick Foundation to start a free lacrosse league with kids from the Boys and Girls Club and Girls Inc. I'm proud of my wife, who works at a local college, helping students realize their dream and attain their goals. I'm proud to be on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm equally proud of everyone in our group who volunteer their time and donate their money to the Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., Megan's House, to name a few of the organizations here in the city. We do this because we care, and we are invested in the future of Lowell. What happens to this if you keep the high school downtown? What happens when you look at these parents in the eye and tell them that their children will be attending a school in a construction zone for 5 years? That you're willing to sacrifice larger science labs, a state-of-the-art facility, and equitable education for our diverse student population, from athletes to those involved in clubs, from ELL students to those students with special needs. I will tell you what will happen. You can potentially lose all of those parents and all of those students. Then what? If even half of those families decide to move or send their children elsewhere for high school, you are at risk of losing a very active part of your community. What happens to some of those kids you see here tonight? Do they still have the connection to the city of Lowell? Or did they lose that because their high school experience was elsewhere? Do they decide to settle down here like their parents have and follow the example we as parents have set for them by continuing to volunteer and try and make Lowell the city we know it can be and should be? I don't know, but that's not a risk that I'm willing to take. In my opinion, it is a disservice to our youth to look at them in the balcony tonight, at these kids, and tell them and their friends that you've decided it's okay for them to go to a high school in a construction zone with safety and health hazards. That the distractions from construction are minimal, and they should just learn to live with them. The children of Lowell deserve a top-notch education that will enable them to be successful in the future. They can receive that at Lowell High School if it is located at Colley Stadium. You can't expect these kids to support a city in the future that turned its back on them when they needed the guidance and the support the most. Building the school at Colley Stadium is the right choice for the kids and for the community as a whole. I love living in Lowell. I love the community and how we are working to improve each and every day. And I hope our leadership makes the right decision here so we can continue to participate in its growth and improvement for years to come. Thank you.
Get a motion to refer to city manager for report and recommendation. Councilor Belanger, second by Councilor Elliott. Next petition of the evening, 8.7 miscellaneous. T.J. McKinnon requests permission to address the council regarding future of viability of Lowell High School being an option for children. Name and address, please.
T.J. McKinnon, 831 Westwood Street.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. Manager. I'm here again to restate my support for Collie. I'm the father of 4 young children. I love the city of Lowell. I love Lowell High. It's where I graduated from in 1997. I hope both remain viable options and continue to be viable options to raise my young and growing family. When making your decision, I hope you weigh the risk and rewards of both locations, and I feel that there's really only one easy choice to make when you take it from that perspective. The first is there are 2 major risks that really make it an easy decision in my mind. The first is kids leaving the school system. The superintendent of schools has talked about losing 500 kids due to the disruption of a construction project that could go as long as 6 years downtown. Let's do a little quick math. At almost $14,000 per 500 kids, we're looking at $7 million in funding gone. 500 kids missing just 1 year at LHS equals $7 million gone from our school's operating budget. It's a staggering figure, especially when you think about it being just the beginning of what could be a mass exodus. There are also non-financial implications. How many of those 500 students are high-performing, National Honors Society members, county medalists, future distinguished alumni? Not just students, how many families will leave in the decades that follow? Parents who would normally be involved are now supporting other schools with their time and their money. Siblings later following in the older siblings' footsteps. Future generations will have their ties and bonds to the city and to the high school watered down or broken altogether. Now, the second major risk in my mind with downtown is an end product that will be way less in actuality than what we're talking about now in the conceptual phase. What's past is prologue, as they say. The 2 most recent Lowell High renovations, and I believe Councilor Samara spoke to this not too long ago in this very chamber, both prior renovations experienced cost overruns that led directly to a reduction in the scope of each project. As a result, important plans like HVAC, classroom configuration, the number and size of science labs, directly impacting students' experience as well as educational objectives. It's very concerning to me to think about the educational objectives being gutted to offset cost overruns. On a project that is supposed to last us for 50 years and will impact 5 decades of education, over 150,000 students. Keep in mind, the past 2 renovations combined pale in comparison to what we're talking about today. The downtown project could very well end up being a $350 million albatross hanging around the city's neck. If these 2 major risks come to fruition, sadly, I don't think Lowell or Lowell High will remain a viable option for my family or many like us. It pains me to say that. I've never seriously considered leaving the city until I've thought about what this option could do. In closing, I believe access for all can be achieved with a sound transportation plan. Traffic in and around the neighborhood should and will be addressed, as it's also a critical issue. I hope we avoid the option that poses the most risk while offering the least reward. There is no need to take such an unnecessary gamble with the future of our city. I respectfully urge the City Council to choose Collie and to take advantage of the clean slate it provides. Thank you for your time. Thank you to all the speakers tonight. Moving on to the agenda. Motion to refer to the city manager for report and recommendation. Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor O'Leary.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Councilor Elliott.
Can I just make a suggestion? Knowing that we'll be taking a vote on the 13th, that we at least consider a location. I know the television, I know cable is broadcast here, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to want to be in this chamber, and this chamber can't accommodate it. So we may look at an alternative option to hold that June 13th meeting. Certainly don't want to lose LTC, so if we can do it from a remote location or provide some additional coverage for folks that evening, I think it's important that we consider to do that.
Could have it at College Stadium.
Could have it at College Stadium. No.
Moving on.
Stole this line. I do think that's important that we consider that, and we let the community know, because let's face it, on any given night, this chamber is packed, and I think we need to accommodate a lot more people on that night. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Motion to refer to the, what's that? 8.8 National Grid, Verizon, request installation of one new pole located at 174 George Street. Motion to refer a public hearing on May 23rd, 7 p.m. Councilor Leary, second by Councilor Samaras. 8.9 Verizon, New England, request installation of underground conduit at Market and Hanover Street. A motion to refer to public hearing on May 23rd at 7 p.m. by Councilor Belanger, second by Councilor Elliott. Next part of the agenda, City Council motions. First one of the evening, by Councilor Samaras, request City Manager update City Council concerning negotiations with Jarvis and Volkswagen regarding the bike trail. Seconded by Councilor Malinazzo, Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Several months ago, Mr. Manager, we made an accommodation with Jarvis Motors that also included negotiations to extend the Bruce Freeman bike trail. I'd just like a status report on what's going on in that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anything else? No? All those in favor? All opposed? All in favor? Motion passes. 9.2 of the evening, by joint motion by Councilor Samaras and Councilor Belanger, request City Manager update City Council regarding lighting in downtown. Motion needs no second. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Well, the Odd Couple is following up on its many tours we've done downtown on the lighting situation, but Mr. Vice Mayor, through you to the manager, Mr. Manager, looked like the capital plan, you've addressed this as well, unbeknownst, we didn't, so give a small description. Are we going to upgrade the light bulbs and all the posts downtown as well?
Absolutely. We actually have a list of the lights that are going to be replaced. We'll provide that for all the city councilors, so you'll be able to see where they're going to be replaced, okay? We'll put that in the report to you.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manager.
Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. Who's Felix? We had to check that out. We never really resolved that. Mr. Manager, actually, is there a timeline that the concern that we had was Market Street and then part of Merrimack Street by back of the high school, in the garage in that area there? People have come to us and complained that that's still a dark area. And I'm glad to see the fiscal 18 plan as, you know, with all the LED lighting. But could we expedite any of that in that area there?
Yes, and we'll make that part of the report that we give to the council.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All those opposed, all those in favor, motion passes. 9.4, another joint motion, Councilor Belanger, Councilor Elliott, request City Manager update the council regarding hazardous waste day in the city. Motion needs no second. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So, Mr. Manager, I know we had to reduce the budget this year to balance our budget, but I think this is it's a one-time a year event, and it really takes a lot of hazardous waste that would normally end up in the waste stream, and people look forward to it because they want to get rid of their paints, they want to get rid of their solvents that will either go into the wastewater treatment plant. So I just think we need to take a look at how we can fully or fund it more than what it was. I think it's $6,000 now, and we couldn't do it. It's being done at DPW. I think people are looking forward to Collie. I know they were doing sampling out there. We couldn't hold it there, but I think it's a good community event. It's short money that goes a long way to, you know, people in the spring cleaning. So, Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. No, I concur with Councilor Elliott. We both had received calls on hazardous waste day got pushed back a week when we were unbeknownst to that, so we received a few calls from constituents who this is very important to. It's very important to all of us that this is a service we've offered the residents. It used to be biannual, it used to be 2 a year. Now we're sort of scaling back, so maybe through the motion response, Mr. Manager, you'd have Gunther come in, Gunther Wellenstein come in and give a presentation on how we're going to go about this. to keep this service alive. I know money is tight, but this is something that we've got to keep going. As Councilor Elliott stated, if we don't have a place for residents to dispose of this toxic material, it could end up very well in our rivers and in our drinking water. So that's just what we're trying to avoid. So I look forward to the motion and response. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All those in favor, all those opposed, motion passes. 9.3 was already heard. 9.5, motion by Councilor Mercia, request city manager find ways and means to install a handball court at the North Common, and when completed, dedicate it to the memory of Louis S. Espinoza as follows. Louis S. Espinoza, handball court. Second by Councilor Milanazo, Councilor Mercia.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to just amend my own motion to change the word install to refurbish. Refurbish the existing. I don't know why I said install. I meant sometimes you get tongue-tied in your mind, but that's okay. Sports enthusiasts in Lowell are very blessed in that we have a large number of facilities throughout the city that serve the needs such as basketball, baseball, soccer, wiffle ball, etc. We are a bit limited on the forgotten sport of many who love handball. Thus, this motion is asking for such a court in the acre section of the city at a place that is centrally located in the acre, and that being the North Common. Many years ago, there was such an enthusiast. He came from a family that lived at the North Common apartments. He played handball against the brick walls of the building. That noise on the wall in the interior became an issue for the tenants, but the youth continued as it was the only way that they could enjoy the sport. Now, I received a letter from Michelle Rivera, who goes on to say that the real handball player was her older brother, Raymond Rivera, who also went the extra mile of creating a petition to have a wall installed for handball next to the basketball court so that playing on the building would cease. Now, that is the existing handball court. All this happened years ago, and in addition, through the years, the handball court fell in disrepair. It's there, but it's in very bad disrepair. Michelle, the mother, goes on to say that in 2009, she suffered a tragic loss when her son lost his life. He lost his life through a medical situation where if they had gotten him to the hospital sooner, it was something routine, but it went somehow awry, and he died tragically through this disease. He was an avid handball player, and Michelle and her family would be honored if this city council would create and refurbish that wonderful handball court at the North Common in his memory. Her son Louis was a warm soul who invested many hours to the sport of handball, and this would be a fitting honor. And I would like it to read, Louis S. Espinoza, handball court. This is Michelle's son. So if I could have a roll call on this, that would be welcoming. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Council Leary.
Yes.
Council Mercy.
Yes.
Council Milanazo.
Yes.
Vice Chair Ward.
Yes.
Council Samara.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy. Council Lee, 7 years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, 6 motions of the evening, 1 by me, 4 by Councilor Leahy, 1 by Mayor Kennedy. Can I get a motion to bundle those and send them to the manager? By Councilor Milanazo, second by Councilor Leary. Under announcements, any announcements? No, that being said, a motion to adjourn? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Almost.
Thank you,
Mercia.
I'm sorry. You bundled them so fast, I was lost in the bundle. Joe Dussault, former veterans agent for the city of Lowell, asked me to invite our city manager, mayor, and city council on behalf of the Veterans Memorial Committee for their Memorial Day event on Monday, May 29th at 9 a.m., where they will honor the 35th anniversary of the veteran wall on the Aiken Street side and the 25th anniversary of the Veterans Wall on Annell side. All are welcome to attend. And there's something on our on our desk today, and I was going to bring it up anyway before I even knew it was here, but we always talk about the opioid crisis and what can we do to help. Well, there is this barber shop man, his name is Bill. It's called Bill's Barber Shop, and it's at 151 Andover Street. And they are having the Resource and Reclamation Center, an open house on May 17th from 11 to 3. Let me just tell you a little bit. It's a nonprofit organization founded in 2014, and it's located at Billy's Barber Shop at 151 Andover Street. They provide a safe, positive environment where individuals can come and receive assistance in reclaiming their lives from addiction and incarceration from one of a dedicated mentors. And really, I know firsthand dealing with this issue and with this gentleman, so I'm very, very honored of that. And I did put on everybody's desk a request from former Mayor Bud Caulfield if anybody wants to buy tickets to the Megan House. Imagine winning a $450,000 home in Dracut. There are many people that would want me to win just so that I'd be going to Dracut, but it's not going to happen anyway, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Anything else? Motion to adjourn. Councilor Milazzo, second by Councilor Leary. Good night.
Was it good?